Footprinters, Chrissy here. This is my final part of my series on Amelia Earhart, having gone through the 2 days previous to her flight, the flight, after the flight. I'm now going to look at some of the theories, or some of the, some of the theories that came out. 3 of them are very much earthbound, and the other one is alien abduction. So, but I'll go through the 3 earthbound ones first. The first one I'm going to look at is sabotage to her plane. The second reading, I said it was in the first 8 hours of the flight that something went wrong with the plane, but they didn't pick up on it. But that was when it happened, and by the time they realised they were in deep doo-doo, well, it was far too late. So, going to look at that. I am again using the same deck that I've used for all of these readings, the Golden Universal Tarot by Los Garabio. This one. And, so, Amelia, was your plane sabotaged? Let's have a look. Was there sabotage? I went through some of the theories and stuff, and it's like, oh, some of them are just silly. But I'm interested as to why the Coast Guard sent out a boat that could not tune into the frequency that you're using, because it would pretty well be useless, wouldn't it? But I think that may have just been an overlooked error. Not a deliberate thing. I just think it was, bad planning on the Coast Guard's part. So I won't go there. So, sabotage to the plane. No, I'll put this down here. So, there's definitely trying to get to calmer waters, the travel, getting from one place to another. That's a travel card, trying to get to a calmer place. That was them on the plane. Getting away with something. That's a no card, and the Tower is a no card, but I'm not going to go with the yes, no's. I'm going to go with what the card's conflict. This is interesting. We've got the 7 of Swords, which is the getting away with something card. The Tower, undermining, and conflict. I think there are definitely attempts to undermine her flight. The Knight of Pentacles, that's a mercenary. The King of Wands, Ace of Pentacles. Look, I think there's a definite possibility that her plane was sabotaged. But it was definitely somebody wanted to undermine the flight and her success and what it meant, because it would have been a really, really huge thing for America. It would have drawn the whole country together and everything. And you know, some people just can't see somebody doing something good for humanity as a whole without wanting to take them down or you know, there was definitely some undermining happening there. Mercenary, someone was paid. They saw an opportunity. There was talk of trouble with the plane in Hawaii, but this is definitely the plans came to mature. This is maturity of a plan, maturity of an action. In this instance, this isn't a person, this is the level of maturity. How far did it get along? Yes. There was some debate as to how I go about it, a little bit of conflict. But yeah, I think that these cards are saying that she definitely could have been sabotaged. The plane could have been sabotaged in such a way that when it first went wrong, they didn't notice, and by the time it became obvious they had a problem, too late. So that's the first of the theories. The second theory, and will lead up to that, is that while doing the flight, Amelia Earhart was also spying for Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He'd set her the task of spying and finding as much information on what was going on along her flight paths, and more specifically in the Pacific arena with the Japanese. So this is a second well-known theory. So we'll have a look at that. King of Cups. Tied up, backed into a corner. Resources. I don't know if it was, I'm not seeing the Hierophant here anywhere. It was bound to happen because of, and I'm not seeing the government anywhere in here, but I do see her bound. Resources. Contingent upon a figure using their power, but not necessarily I don't think it's a government figure, but I think it's somebody who was in a powerful position wanting her to get a clearer picture. Given the time, it was bound to possibly be there. I'm not, given her travels and her transit through the area, I'm not picking up FDR. What I do feel is that part of her funding may have been contingent upon her keeping an eye out, not active spying, but noting things in the areas she was flying through, keeping an eye out, taking note of anything out of the ordinary, or anything that she might have seen associated with Japan. Wasn't contingent on her flying out of her way and flying routes that brought her within Japanese influence in areas controlled by the Japanese, because by all means she was at a minimum 800 miles away from the nearest area controlled by the Japanese, which was Mili Atoll. So, and she was a good 2,000 miles away from Saipan. So, but I think part of the deal that she had to sign, she wouldn't get funding otherwise, was to keep her eye out, take notes. I don't think she really wanted to do it, but she really didn't have much choice if she wanted to do the flight. She was all about the flight. There'd been rumours possibly getting to people, and maybe she was asked to see if she saw anything that could help clarify that. It was bound to happen. It was always in the ether with the Wheel of Fortune fate, because of the time, the era. Japan had been, showing their might for a couple of years by that stage, and going into areas and taking over areas that, like invading China, fighting with China, setting up on small islands and places like that. So in her transit, it was something that she realised was always going to have to be a part of it, of obtaining her funding to agree to do that. So it wasn't spying for FDR, it was just, I think there are interested parties, may have been a government official, or she's asked to look out for, specifically anything military. This to me is a very military card, this one. The person in his armour, the control and stuff. So look, yeah, she may have been not spying to the extent that she was going where she shouldn't be to look at things she shouldn't have been looking at, but she was basically asked as part of her agreement for funding to take note of everything around her, and especially if she saw anything where it shouldn't be, like so there's a possibility that she was keeping an eye out for things related to the Japanese, but not specifically going there. There's probably a lot of chatter around at the time, maybe some confusion as to actually where they were and where they weren't, the Japanese, because there's lots and lots of places in the South Pacific there, and the Oceania region where, so many islands. So yeah, clarify that they weren't in the area where she was flying and stuff. So she was definitely, I think, asked contingent. Part of her funding was contingent on that, because she was bound. So on keeping an eye out. So not necessarily spying, just taking observations of what she sees and reporting it to somebody. May have been somebody in the military, but not specifically FDR. I don't think he charged her with that. Okay. Now, the other thing was about her disappearance. Was she captured by the Japanese? Well, actually, there's two theories. One, that she was captured, and the other, that the Japanese shot her plane down. So, Did the Japanese shoot her plane down? And I'll ask this as a yes, no. Did the Japanese shoot Amelia Earhart's plane down? I can't get a yes on that. It's a possibility, but they would never admit it. So that's a maybe card. They would never admit it if they did. So what's on the bottom there? Four of Cups. Again, that's a yeah, maybe, but it's not something they would have admit to if they did. And on the bottom here underneath there's a no. I'm tending towards five of wands. I'm tending towards no, because they wouldn't have wanted to enrage America. I mean, honestly, if they'd have shot down her aircraft and it had come out, it would have hastened conflict with America. It would have sped up the conflict. And they'd already started into that difficult time with America of negotiations or this and that, or trade, or you know, into that period. There's usually quite a period of tensions before a war erupts, and it can last for years, this period of tension. So no, I don't think they shot her down. I don't think they would have risked the conflict. If they did, it would not have been on purpose. It would have been a mistake, but I don't think they did. Remember that Japan were hoping to be able to keep things amicable with the US, so that I don't think they would have shot her down. So leading to that were her and Fred captured and executed by the Japanese. If we were to follow the same logic with that, we'll have a look. Whether they captured and executed by the Japanese. It'd have to be some high and mighty little Napoleon type thing who's in charge of the region who would do that. Suspension. No, I don't think so. If she'd have come down anywhere there and been taken in by the Japanese, they might have held her for a period of time and made a judgment on, you know, but I don't think they would have done it. They would have held her for questioning or something, but I think the judgment against them, if they'd have done something, would have been too much. So they would have made the decision to release them. So no, if they'd have been captured by the Japanese, being where they shouldn't have been, they would have been held and questioned, sure. But again, because of the political climate at the time, and Japan was still hoping to have, you know, open trade talks with America and all that, they wouldn't have been silly enough to do that. Okay, so we've gone through the grounded questions that I wanted to ask. Everyone wants to, there's a favourite theory out here, and this is for fun. Okay, were her and Fred abducted by aliens? Okay, so I'm gonna So, let's have a look. Amelia and Fred abducted by aliens. A lot of people have been really worried about this, having disturbed sleep. There have been people out there who have asked themselves this question. There have been people out there who at the time were anxious. They were losing sleep. They feared she was dead, but they were anxious about it. So, you know, that's fine, giving an idea of, you know, the anxiety that her disappearance caused. But what I'm asking is, was she and Fred abducted by aliens? Victory! It's interesting. The Four of Swords came up again. It flew out of the deck. That's a more earthbound. It's a definite no card. The Four of Swords is a maybe card, but the Devil is a definite no card. More earthbound. No. No, they won't. It's just something that greedy people see an opportunity to make money from, by, you know, getting together with others and forming these theories and spreading them, and, you know, taking something that about someone who has died, and this is justice. Yeah, and it's just getting what they want without considering justice to this person's memory. And yeah, and that's another no card. No, she wasn't. This theory that she was abducted by aliens, of course, it's put forward by people of a certain bent. I mean, there are some people who really truly do believe in some of these things, and you know, their lives are affected by their beliefs and all that, and you know, you can't blame people if you know, there are some people who do really believe in a lot of things, but there are other people who take these beliefs that and don't believe in them at all, you know, and don't care about the people who do think these things or come up with these things. They just see an opportunity to make money and cause havoc. They get together in their little things, and they have no honor. They're like, a lot of the people who do believe in these things, they have illnesses and problems and, you know, behaviours that are not good for them, but they're not bad people. The ones who take these beliefs and these stories and run with them just to make money, they're bad. They're bad people. They're nasty people. and they don't care about natural justice at all. And natural justice would be that, you know, leave things be. The woman and her, Fred and Amelia, were doing a wonderful thing, and they were lost to the world. Leave their memories rest. But these people, no, they just, she wasn't abducted by aliens, her and Fred. They weren't abducted by aliens. But this is something that people have latched onto as a money-making enterprise. That and other conspiracies. And it is nasty. And that's why a lot of us don't like reading on those conspiracies that are put forward by some people out there. If it's something that's been around for a long time, like years and years and years, yeah, we can read on something like for even a couple of 100 years, but things like this, the conspiracy theories on something like this that are just used to belt out money, yeah. And before anyone says, oh, well, you're using it to your own ends, I don't monetize my channel, I don't make anything from it. And this was for fun to look at this item, but it has come out with a serious message. Some people will grasp onto anything and see it as an opportunity to make money and defy natural justice. So, and they will get what they deserve in the end. So, anyway, just finishing that on a little bit of a lecture. So anyway, this is the end of my Amelia Earhart series. This last bit just looking at some of the theories that were put out there. And whatever happened to her and Fred, they are at rest now. And they set out to do a wonderful thing. And they were, in my opinion, as I think I said right at the start of this, to me, global heroes. And their memories should be treated as such. So there's no disrespect in it anyway towards the families and descendants of Amelia and Fred. And I can only say that they are two people who their descendants should be proud of. So it's been a fascinating story, journey that I've had with these two people and their last days, and yeah, and very touching. So I hope you've enjoyed this short series, and if you have anything or any mysteries that you want me to read on, I'd be happy to. There are some subjects I won't read on, but yeah. So thank you again, Footprinters. I love you all, and thank you for joining me. Okay, bye bye.